tasks in the digital space. So if you zoom in here, these are all different kinds of repositories, and this is all the code that has been written. And a few years ago, I kind of observed that software was kind of changing, and there was kind of like a new type of software around, and I called this software 2.0 at the time. And the idea here was that software 1.0 is the code you write for the computer. Software 2.0 are basically neural networks, and in particular, the weights of a neural network. And you're not writing this code directly. You are more kind of like tuning the data sets, and then you're running an optimizer to create the parameters of this neural net. And I think like at the time, neural nets were kind of seen as like just a different kind of classifier, like a decision tree or something like that. And so I think it was kind of like, I think this framing was a lot more appropriate. And now actually what we have is kind of like an equivalent of GitHub in the realm of software 2.0. And I think the Hugging Face is basically equivalent of GitHub in software 2.0. And there's also Model Atlas, and you can visualize all the code written there. In case you're curious, by the way, the giant circle, the point in the middle, these are the parameters of Flux, the image generator. And so anytime someone tunes a LoRa on top of a Flux model, you basically create a git commit in this space, and you create a different kind of image generator. So basically what we have is software 1.0 is the computer code that programs a computer. Software 2.0 are the weights which program neural networks. And here's an example of AlexNet image recognizer neural network. Now, so far, all of the neural networks that we've been familiar with until recently were kind of like fixed function computers, image to categories or something like that. And I think what's changed, and I think is a quite fundamental change, is that neural networks became programmable with large language models. And so I see this as quite new, unique. It's a new kind of a computer. And so in my mind, it's worth giving it a new designation of software 3.0. And basically, your prompts are now programs that program the LLM. And remarkably, these prompts are written in English. So it's kind of a very interesting programming language. So maybe to summarize the difference, if you're doing sentiment classification, for example, you can imagine writing some amount of Python to basically do sentiment classification, or you can train a neural net, or you can prompt a large language model. So here, this is a few-shot prompt, and you can imagine changing it and programming the computer in a slightly different way. So basically, we have software 1.0, software 2.0, and I think we're seeing, maybe you've seen a lot of GitHub code is not just like code anymore. There's a bunch of like English interspersed with code. And so I think kind of there's a growing category of new kind of code. So not only is it a new programming paradigm, it's also remarkable to me that it's in our native language of English. And so when this blew my mind a few, I guess, years ago now, I tweeted this, and I think it captured the attention of a lot of people, and this is my currently pinned tweet, is that remarkably, we're now programming computers in English. Now, when I was at Tesla, we were working on the autopilot, and we were trying to get the car to drive. And I sort of showed this slide at the time, where you can